Hello and welcome back to No BS. Today we turn to talking about another high-profile public figure who's getting backlash for supporting our president, Donald J. Trump. This, of course, is rather alarming since we've seen celebrities support Democrats for years. They're encouraged to do it even, and they always get away with it. They can support Biden or Obama or all these other Democrats all they want. They supported Hillary Clinton, the worst of the worst, and that's totally fine. It's helping them even. It's encouraged. They're allowed to speak out. They get butt pats for it because, hey, supporting the Democrats is the way you're supposed to be, especially if you're in Hollywood, if you're a celebrity, if you're famous at all. That's the way the left wants you to go. So if you support them, that's okay. But anyone daring to speak out, even in the slightest, supporting Trump, like not even saying you're voting for him, you could just say he had a good thing to say today. You could retweet his tweet. Well, they're going to come down on you really hard, especially with this kind of mob mentality they have. We've seen them form literal mobs over the last couple weeks, and it happens online in a lot of the same ways. People bully up on each other. The leftists are always kind of grouping up and going after conservatives, going after even anyone daring to speak out in favor of Trump. So today we've got an example of that, a high-profile former bassist for the band Nirvana. Nirvana disbanded in the 90s after its lead singer died, but they were still a very influential band. Nirvana is like one of the biggest rock bands of all time. They started the grunge era in the early 90s and became world famous rather quickly. Had some great albums, Nevermind, some awesome hits, Smells Like Teen Spirit, and even one of the members of the band went on to form the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl was, of course, the drummer for Nirvana, and the Foo Fighters became his next big project, which was just as big or probably bigger now since they've been around forever too. The Foo Fighters still play and make music to this day, and people still remember Nirvana fondly because of things like that. So what happened in this story was the bassist for Nirvana, who admittedly is kind of the least famous one, like the singer Kurt Cobain was the leader of the band, Dave Grohl was the drummer who went on to do Foo Fighters, and now we're talking about the bassist. His name is Krist Novoselic, and he's still very legendary too. I mean, just being a part of Nirvana is a big deal. And the fact that he was a good bass player for them and known to have very signature bass lines on their shows, on their albums and all that, he is still very relevant and very interesting. And that's why when he went to support President Trump and praised his Law and Order speech from last week, a lot of people turned their heads. They're like, hey, no, don't do that, dude. You can't support the president. You can't be conservative. You're a rock and roll guy. You're in the media. You know, we're all famous. We're celebrities. We're supposed to be on the same side. But hey, we're all friends until someone disagrees with them, right? That's how the liberals operate. And frankly, I appreciate this a lot because not only do I love Nirvana and this bass player, but also it's great to see someone that's in a position like him to kind of speak out this way. He kind of reminds me of a Kanye West, like definitely not as famous, but this guy is already established. He's already a legend. He's already made a lot of money with his band. Like just being in Nirvana has probably made them all filthy rich. So he doesn't have anything to worry about. He's not trying to get famous. He's not some actor trying to still get into movies or something. Like he's established, and this bass player is in the perfect position to speak out and speak his mind. And that's what happened. A similar thing happened with Kanye West when he spoke out for the president. And this story kind of reminds me of that. Another musician, another interesting figure coming out for the president. And that's what we're going over today. This article has more details. It starts with a tweet that says 2020 just keeps getting weirder. And it says Nirvana bassist praises Trump Law and Order speech. Pretty surprising development, especially from this kind of band. As you can see, they've got that grunge look. This band literally started the grunge era of rock bands, and they've got the long hair. They're definitely likely to be liberals. Like a lot of bands, like a lot of these kinds of figures are all, you know, supporting the progressivism, you know, supporting that kind of ideology. So the fact that the bass player could come out on the other side is pretty cool. And it sucks to see him getting backlash, but there's also some good replies too. Because like this tweet right here says, this is beginning to feel like a simulation. So crazy that people might want the riots and violence to stop. That's from Chuck Norris. It's the 5G, turn off the 5G. That's a bit of a joke. This happened a few days ago, but I still think it's interesting and cool to talk about. I wanted to get to it because no one else really had mentioned it lately. And I love Nirvana. I love the Nirvana band, and the bass player coming out like this is pretty cool. The article says Nirvana bassist Krist Novoselic praises Trump's speech that threatened to use military against protesters. The president should not be sending troops into states. Nevertheless, his tone in this speech is strong and direct. I believe that's a quote from him. And so far, I don't see anything wrong here. I could tell the article is kind of positioning on the left-hand side, trying to make it sound like, oh, sending in military against these innocent protesters. Oh, that's so evil. That's what the fascists do. But no, we know the truth. We've seen the chaos. We've seen the fact that the cops have given up in these cities. And if they want to send in more troops, send in more state police, or move on to the National Guard or the military, that's totally justified at this point. I mean, you could see the chaos on the internet. It's all over. So to pretend it's just peaceful protests getting squashed by some kind of dictator, no, that doesn't happen here in America. That happens in China. China's been doing that in Hong Kong and all kinds of places. They take protesters and lock them up for their lives. So the fact that they're trying to act like President Trump would do that is ridiculous, and it's also hypocritical, since these are the same leftists that support China. They back up China. They've been defending China in light of this virus that they caused, and now they're attacking Trump for almost doing something that China already does a lot. Trump wouldn't be doing it for wrong reasons. He would have every right to, and it would be helpful to get these places under control. But that's a whole other story. That's besides the point. Let's read on here and see what else is said. Former Nirvana bassist Krist Novoselic sent his Facebook to private and deleted Twitter after his praise for Donald Trump's Law and Order speech caused a mixture of uproar and disappointment among fans and fellow musicians. Mr. Trump warned on Monday that he would mobilize all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting following the death of George Floyd in police custody. Novoselic agreed that the president should not be sending troops into the states, but that his tone was strong and direct. So he's not even backing the military part. I mean, he's barely complimenting the president, just saying he was strong and direct. I mean, this is the littlest bit of support, and it's showing how vicious these leftists are. I mean, they just smell this kind of drop of blood in the water, and they came after the guy so hard he had to delete all his social media. Now, granted, he's an older dude. He probably doesn't give a crap about his Twitter or Facebook or whatever. He just deleted them because they were probably just more trouble than good now. And like we said before, this guy's all set up. He doesn't have anything to worry about, I think. I mean, I don't know his personal details of all his life story, but I assume him and Dave Grohl, the surviving Nirvana band members, are doing extremely well off those royalties. And they probably had a great life and career. And, you know, it sucks that their singer had to die, but that's where they are today. And this guy is killing it, and, you know, he's got the balls to say something good about Trump. The littlest thing, though, and they're coming after him hard. Wow, I know many of you can't stand him. However, Trump knocked it out of the park with this speech, the musician wrote on Facebook. I've been watching the images in the media and thinking about how polarized our country is. I mean, even wearing medical masks in public can be seen as a political statement. The violence and not the protest appear as a leftist insurrection. Most Americans want peace in their communities, and President Trump spoke to this desire. Never mind the legal details that few understand. Trump said he would stop the violence, and this speaks to many. Yeah, why is this a bad thing? He doesn't want violence. Like, he wants people to be peaceful, to get along. He wants the crime to stop. He wants safety. You know, and the fact that he calls it a leftist insurrection, it says it appears as one, that's true. That's true, because we've gone past things. Like, it starts off and you have a little demonstration. You're a protester with a sign, but then you're a rioter creating chaos and causing violence. And then when you keep rioting over and over again, I mean, that's what's called like a revolution or insurrection, but not the good kind. I mean, this is not based on facts or reason. This is not, oh, we don't have rights, so we need to fight back. Like, you guys have the rights. Everyone has freedom here. The only problem is you've created racism, in the media, and the public has race baited. And in addition, we have this 2020 election coming up. Like, make no mistake, this is connected. Like, you guys know that the last time BLM and these protests happened was 2016, right before the election in the summer. Now we're in the summer before the next election and they come back. I mean, I didn't even know BLM was still around. Like, Black Lives Matter completely disappeared ever since 2016, 2017. And then now they pop up out of nowhere. Like, how did that happen? I think it's obvious that it's politically motivated, and it's not really about, oh, saving the blacks. It's about, you know, trying to influence our election. They're trying to win, and they're trying to cause chaos and scare people. While it appears Novoselic set his Facebook profile to private, where the message was originally posted, screen grabs have been circulating on Twitter. Fans were quick to criticize Novoselic's take, despite him having been a supporter of the peaceful protest and Black Lives Matter. People go home and let's build our future. There is a lot of work to do. Good night. Had enough of the social media outrage generator and echo chamber, a network run by corporations and capitalism, he said on his Twitter page, which appears to have been deleted. Hug your family, be kind to your neighbors, and always remember Black Lives Matter. Fellow bassist Mike Mills of REM simply tweeted, "Oh, Chris, no." So he's getting negative responses from his peers. He's getting bullied and attacked because he just slightly supported the president, who had this honest message that everyone should get behind. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, how can you not get behind what the president said there? He's saying, let's stop the chaos, let's stop the fighting, let's calm this down and solve it like adults. And then the bassist here, Chris, agrees with that, and now he's getting attacked for it. Like, just because the president says something, he can be right even if you don't like him. You guys know that, right? Like, if you can disagree with someone that much that they say, hey, let's give everyone in the country $100, they'll like say, that's what they did with the stimulus. They're like questioning that, even though that's a mode of operandi that they would operate with all the time. But that's besides the point. What I'm getting at is basically the bassist agreed with something that we all should agree with, and now he's getting attacked because Trump happened to say it, and they expect such hardcore, like they're very strict with their beliefs on the left. You can't step out of line because look, he's already saying he supports the protesters. He says Black Lives Matter. He was against the military action. Like, he's had all the caveats needed to just kind of agree with one thing the president said, but they're going after him. It sucks. Nirvana became an international sensation at the head of the grunge scene in the early 90s, but split following the suicide of frontman Kurt Cobain in 1994. Drummer Dave Grohl went on to become frontman of the Foo Fighters. Yeah, we went over that part. We know that part of the story, and that about wraps it up. I mean, it's just a bad situation where you can't support the president on anything, especially if you're in the mainstream media. This goes to show how harsh their kind of group think is. If you step out of line, even the littlest, and you're a celebrity, and you're a big musician, an artist, an actor, whatever it may be, they are very strict. This is like communist style, like you have to fall in line or you're going to get kicked to the curb. And that's a very scary place to be. That's why I abandoned Hollywood stuff and stopped trying to act or do any kind of TV work, or I used to do cameras and lighting and stuff. And it's just, it's not worth it. It's not a good place. It's a very negative, very toxic environment. Unless you already have those beliefs, you're going to be hiding them and, you know, cowering and having to, you know, just go along with BS and talk about their racist ideas. It's a very messed up place. And this story goes to show it. It also goes to show how praising Trump could get you attacked no matter who you are. The Trump hate in the media, the Trump derangement syndrome is strong. And that's what we're really getting to today. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also hit that like button to support this video, get it shared. And until next time, you guys have a great day.